The Beechcraft Baron is a light, twin-engine piston aircraft developed by Beechcraft. The Baron is a variant of the Traveler, and was introduced in 1961. Design and development. The direct predecessor of the Baron was the Beechcraft 95 Traveler, which incorporated the fuselage of the Bonanza and the tail control surfaces of the T-34 Mentor military trainer. To create the new airplane, the Traveler's tail was replaced with that of the Beechcraft Debonair, the engine nacelles were streamlined, 6-cylinder engines were added, and the aircraft's name was changed. In 1960, the Piper Aztec was introduced, utilizing two 250-horsepower Lycoming 0540 engines. Cessna II had improved their 310 with two Continental IO-470D, producing 260 horsepower. Meanwhile, Beechcraft's Bonanza had been improved with a Continental IO-470N, but the answer to competition was to make a true twin Bonanza. The first model, the 55, was powered by two 6-cylinder IO-470L engines, producing 260 horsepower at 2,625 rpms. It was introduced in 1961. It included the fully swept vertical stabilizer of the Debonair, while still retaining the 4-to-4+5 place seating of the Traveler. Since its inception, the Baron has always been near the top of the light airplane hierarchy. In 2008 a new Baron costs roughly $1,040,000. As expensive to operate as it is to buy, the next step up from a Baron is a very big one. Faster aircraft, with greater range and more load-carrying capability, are generally turbine-powered and far more expensive. The older Baron variants, mainly the 55 series, have dropped little in value, with their fair market prices numerically equal to that of their original pricing, in today's dollars. Variants: Barons come in three basic types, the Baron 55, Baron 56 and Baron 58, with several sub-variants each. Baron 55 equals. The early Baron 55, A55 and B55 were fitted with 260 horsepower Continental IO-470 engines and had gross weights of 4,880 to 5,100 pounds. These had a typical cruise speed of 190 knots at 7,000 feet, and came with 116 or 136 US gallon fuel tanks. The C55, D55 and D55 models had an increased cruise speed of 200 knots due to the 285 horsepower Continental IO-520S. The gross weights of these later models increased to 5,300 pounds. They were about a foot longer than the B55 Barons, and came with 136, 142, or 166 US gallon fuel tanks. Model 55 Barons were produced from 1961 to 1983, and 3651 were produced. Model 95-55 Baron, Baron prototype. 55, introduced 1961. 4-to-5 seat, twin-engine transport, powered by two 260 horsepower Continental IO-470L 6-cylinder piston engines. 190 units built. Priced at $58,250. A55, built 1962 through 1963. 4-to-5 seats. Improvements were a new instrument panel, interior, and exterior paint scheme. Priced at $58,950. B55, introduced in 1964, run through 1982. 4-to-6 seats. New exterior scheme and interior design. A 120 pounds increase in gross weight to 5,100 pounds. Priced at $59,950, $177,500. C55, built 1966 through 1967. 4-to-6 seats. Powered by two 285 horsepower Continental IO-520C piston engines. Increased performance over the B55. Nose lengthened to accommodate more baggage, avionic equipment, and to improve weight and balance. Crack-prone engine air intake box design changed. Alternators changed from belt-driven to gear-driven. 451 aircraft built. priced at $68,350 in 1966. D55, built 1968 through 1969. 4 to 6 seats. Introduced new paint scheme and speed slope windshield. Changed to 3-blade props and a different flap configuration. 316 aircraft built. Priced at $73,950 in 1968. E55, introduced in 1970, run through 1982. 4 to 6 seats. Incorporated new paint scheme and interior design. Improved avionics and panel. Wing tip lights and rotating beacon made flush. New entrance step. Also added were 172 US gallon interconnected tanks with one fill cap per wing became an option in 1976. 433 built. Priced at $83,950 in 1970, $219,500 in 1982. Baron 56TC equals. In 1967, Beechcraft had begun development of a faster, pressurized twin, the Model 60 Duke. The Duke was to go head-to-head with Cessna's 320 Skyknight. The Duke was to use two turbocharged 380 horsepower Lycoming TI-0541E1A4 engines, therefore, Beech wanted experience working with, and flying the new engine. The engine was the 380 horsepower Lycoming TI-0540E1 before, Beech produced in limited quantities, fitted to a modified Baron E55, becoming the 56TC. The results of the 56TC were as planned. It proved a good testbed and experience-building model for the Duke's development. However, it was a noticeably loud airplane, especially so for a Beechcraft. Along with its increased noise, the 56TC had an increase in structural strength and thus empty weight to compensate for the higher power. When introduced in 1967, it was the fastest Beech aircraft, rivaling even the early King Airs sold at the time. The Baron 56TC was built between 1967 and 1971 with 93 aircraft produced, production ending due to Duke sales and from the Baron 58, which was introduced in 1970. 56TC, introduced in 1967, built until the 1969 model year. 4 to 6 seats. Power came from two 380 horsepower Lycoming TI-0540E1 before turbocharged piston engines. 81 aircraft sold. Priced at $89,950 in 1967. A56TC, introduced 1970, built until 1971. Only model changed throughout the 56 production. Featured new exterior paint scheme and interior design. New instrument panel, smooth rotating beacon and navigation lights, nosewheel light. 11 aircraft sold. Priced at $101,750 in 1970. Baron 58 equals. Introduced for the model year 1969, the larger, more powerful Baron 58 was developed from the Baron 55, introducing club seating, double aft baggage doors, and new gross weight of 5,400 pounds. Depending on the variant, the Baron 58 is fitted with either the Continental IO520 or IO550 300 horsepower engine. The Baron 58 can cruise at 200 knots at 7,000 feet. The lengthening of the fuselage increased rear baggage space, as well as providing more comfortable six-place seating over the Baron 55 and 56TC. In 1976, the turbocharged Baron 58TC and pressurized Baron 58P were introduced. These variants were powered by turbocharged Continental TI-0520s of 310 Euro 325 horsepower, had an increased 6100 Euro 6200 pounds gross weight, and were certified under FAR 23 with a new type certificate. The Baron 58P/58TC models were capable of cruising at 200 knots at 8,000 feet and 220 knots at 20,000 feet, and were typically equipped with 190 US gallon fuel tanks. A big change in panel system layout on 58-58P occurred in 1984, including relocating throttle, gear, flap, propeller and mixture controls to industry standard positions. Although the turbocharged 58TC/58P variants were discontinued in 1984 and 1985, respectively, the normally aspirated Baron 58 was still in production as of 2015. The current production version is the G58, featuring a glass cockpit, improved passenger cabin and changes to selected airframe details. 58 Baron, original variant, introduced in 1969 and run through 2004. 4 to 6 seats. Powered by two 285-horsepower Continental IO520C or Continental IO550C piston engines. 58P Baron, introduced 1976, run through 1985. Pressurized cabin, powered by two Continental TSIO520L turbocharged piston engines. 494 aircraft built. Priced at $200,750 in 1976. 58 TC Baron, introduced in 1976, run through 1984. Turbocharged engines, powered by 310 horsepower Continental TSIO520L engines. First flew October 31, 1975. 149 aircraft built. Priced at $170,750 in 1976. G58 Baron, introduced in 2005, currently in production. Essentially same aircraft as the 58 Baron, with Garmin G1000 glass cockpit avionics. G58 Baron ISR, introduced in 2013, Beechcraft developed a low-cost ISTAR aircraft for Fuerzas Unidas de Rapid Acción Cubden, an agency within the Puerto Rico Police Department. In 2014, the aircraft was upgraded with a FLIR 230 HD electro-optical infrared camera system, operator a Euro-1 registered trademark S console that housed the mapping mission management computer, a recorder, a multi-band communications radio system and data link for special mission operators. T-42A Cochise. The T-42A Cochise is a military version of the Baron 95 B-55 for use by the United States Army as an instrument training aircraft. The Army Aviation School took delivery of 65 aircraft, a further 5 were bought for delivery to the Turkish Army. By 1993, the Army's remaining T-42 aircraft had been transferred to the Army Reserve and the National Guard and were no longer in standard use. Firma SF-60 Marquis a twin 530 horsepower Astaza X turboprop modification first flown in 1961, developed from Firma's 1960 twin Bonanza Astaza IIA turboprop conversion. Operators Military operators Haiti, Armed Forces of Haiti, Mexico, Mexican Air Force, Mexican Naval Aviation, Rhodesia, Rhodesian Air Force, 1 aircraft only. Spain, Spanish Air Force, Turkey, Turkish Air Force, Turkish Army, United States, United States Army. Specifications, data from Jane's All the World's Aircraft 1976-77, General Characteristics, Crew, 1, Capacity, 5, Length, 28 feet 0 inches, Wingspan, 37 feet 10 in, Height, 9 feet 7 in. Wing area, 199.2 FTA squared, airfoil, NACA 23016.5 at root, NACA 23010.5 at tip, empty weight, 3,156 pounds, max takeoff weight, 5,100 pounds, power plant, TUA, Continental IO470L air-cooled 6-cylinder horizontally opposed piston engine. 260 horsepower each. Performance, maximum speed, 205 knots at sea level, cruise speed, 180 knots 55% power at 12,000 feet, stall speed, 73 knots IAS, power off, wheels and flaps down, range, 942 mi 65% power at 10,500 feet, 45 minutes reserves, service ceiling, 19,700 feet, rate of climb, 1,670 feet per minute. See also, related development, Beechcraft Bonanza, Beechcraft Traveler, Bay Super V Bonanza, aircraft of comparable role, Configuration and era: Beechcraft Twin Bonanza, Cessna 310M-11 Orca, Piper Seneca, Letal 200 Morava. Related lists: List of military aircraft of the United States. References. Notes Bibliography Andrade, John. Militaire 1982. London, Aviation Press Limited, 1982. ISBN 09007898-017, Ball, Larry A., From Traveller to Baron. How Beech Created a Classic, Ball Publications, 1994. ISBN 0-9641514-0-5, Harding, Stephen. U.S. Army Aircraft since 1947. Shrewsbury, UK, Airlife Publishing, 1990. ISBN 1-85310-102-8. Taylor, John W. Janes All the World's Aircraft 1976-77. London, Janes Yearbooks, 1976, ISBN 0-354-00538-3. Wheeler, Barry C. World's Air Forces 1979 inches. Flight International, August 4, 1979. Volume 116, number 3672 pages 333 386. Further reading Michael, Simon. Janes Civil and Military Aircraft Upgrades 1994-95. Coulston, UK, Janes Information Group, 1994. ISBN 0-7106-1208-7. External links: Official Beechcraft Baron site, globalsecurity.org, T42 Koshais.